Hey guys, Nick Jennison, Guitar Interactive, GI Plus. It's Monday. We're doing the thing that we do on Mondays, which is hang out and talk about the guitar. No surprise, it's becoming a bit of a catchphrase, but I can't really think of a better way to put it. We're doing the thing that we do on Mondays. It's Monday. We're hanging out. I have a guitar. You have a guitar. We're going to talk about the guitar. Today, we are discussing a bit of a continuation of last week's stream. So last week's stream, we were discussing how to make your playing make sense. If that... I kept saying this on the stream. I kept saying, if that makes any sense. So forgive me if I keep doing that tonight. It's just one of those kind of verbal tics that seems to keep coming out. But even still. So today, we're discussing sequencing, how you can use sequences to make more sense from your playing. Now, we'll establish what sequences are, how you can use them in your slower playing, how you can use them in your faster lines, if that's something you're into. We'll have a little something for everybody today. We're also going to discuss some technical stuff, some fretboard knowledge and fretboard visualization stuff, although not in the sense of how do you visualize the fretboard, but how might you use some of the fretboard visualization tools that you already have at your disposal. And we also have a little bit of exciting housekeeping to discuss. So we're going to start with that. First of all, if you are joining us for the first time, I want to take a moment and say hi. Thanks for coming on board. It's great to have you. If you're one of our returning group of streamers, got some very exciting news for you. And also, thanks for coming. It would be very lonely without you. It would just be me screaming at a webcam, which is right over here. Which nobody wants to see for, the next hour or however long we happen to be together. So listen, I'm really glad you came along. If you have questions, if you have comments, I'd love to hear from you. Drop us a comment down below. Let us know the following. First of all, if you have any questions, we'd love to know what that question is. If you have any kind of guitar playing things you want to talk about, let me know. Also, I want to know which guitar you happen to have in your hands this evening. I am, of course, playing my current number one, which is my Maybach Convair 59 age. This is my new favorite guitar. You guys have seen me play this loads and loads and loads. Just love this guitar, man. There's something really, I don't know, there's just something about the sound of it, the look of it, the way it sits, the way it kind of like conforms to me. Absolutely love it. But I want to know what you're playing today. So drop me a comment, let me know. Now, on to the fun stuff. So, we've got a big announcement for you guys. So you may have seen, if you've been paying attention to the GI Plus site, that we have made a little bit of a soft announcement about what's happening with GI Plus and where we're going with this. So, as of the beginning of March, that is the coming of March this month, and I think the current date is March the 1st, GI Plus will be merging with Lick Library. That is, GI Plus will be merging with our friends at Lick Library. Now, you guys will know that I've done a lot of work for GI and also for Lick Library. We are basically putting the two brands together. So all of your GI Plus lessons will have a new home on Lick Library. You'll still be able to access them on the current GI Plus site for the time being. So don't worry, if you go there, you go looking for a lesson, maybe you're partway through a course, it will still be there. But this is the really exciting stuff, right? So if you are a Lick Library member already, I know a bunch of you guys are already Lick Library members, right? If you're already a Lick Library member and a GI Plus member, you will essentially be getting the GI Plus membership for free as part of your Lick Library membership. So no extra cost. So you are essentially paying for one membership instead of paying for two. If you're a GI Plus member, but not a Lick Library member, you will get your Lick Library membership included at the current rate that you're paying for your GI Plus membership for a limited time. So to ease that transition across, we're just going to keep letting you keep your GI Plus subscription, but you'll get access to all the stuff that's available on Lick Library too. And that's going to go for a transition period of time. It's not going to be forever, but it is going to be our way of thanking you for being on board for all of this time and this whole project. This also means that we're going to be able to continue making GI Plus lessons. They're going to live on Lick Library. We're going to be making a ton of new content for you guys, and this is going to help us facilitate doing this sort of stuff. And you also get access to all of the Lick Library lessons, which are just an unbelievable amount, and the world-class, and I mean world-class, support that we have on hand at Lick Library, where you get not just one-to-one guidance from all of our team, but also you get access to one-to-one lessons as part of your Lick Library membership. A lot of people don't know this, don't take advantage of this, but you get one-to-one lessons, video lessons as part of your Lick Library membership, literally like a Zoom lesson. So it's really, really cool. If you have any questions about this, what I want you to do is I want you to direct your questions to this email. This is playersupport@licklibrary.com. So if you have any questions about the switchover, any questions about any of this stuff, go to playersupport@licklibrary.com. All of your questions will be answered. So anyway, let's say hello to the folks that are in the stream. Really super excited about this in case you can't tell. So we're going to be making that big switchover on the 1st of March. So yeah. Emails to the email down below, playersupport@licklibrary.com. Any questions about that, go there. I'll try and answer as best I can on the stream, but if you have any burning questions, go there. All I can say is that it's going to be super exciting. It's going to be the best of everything for everyone. It's going to be great. Now, let's say hello to the folks in the comment section, and then we'll get on with the meat of today's session. First of all, Marcin is in the house. Marcin says, hello, Nick. Hi, everyone. Marcin, great to see you. PJ is in the house. He's playing his Sabre 540. Now, that's an interesting choice. Very underrated Ibanez guitars, the old Sabres. I'm assuming you mean an Ibanez Sabre. The very, very thin guitars that sometimes people will call the S series. S always stood for Sabre in my mind. Killer. Really nice, thin, lightweight guitars. Very resonant, very cool instruments. Folk Cornish is in the house. Says, good evening, friends. Probably soloist for me. Been listening to a ton of Satch lately and noticed there's a lot of spicy off notes in a couple of his jazzy solos on Shockwave Supernova. Marvelous. Can concur. Satch is an interesting cat because, you know, a lot of what he plays is very accessible and deliberately so, but he's a man with a very deep harmonic knowledge. He was one of the first guitar players that really started bringing this idea of playing scales besides the pentatonic and the natural minor to the rock space. You know, he kind of started bridging the gap between what fusion players have been doing from the 60s and 70s up to, like, you know, 1980s when Satch started doing his thing, and started bringing that into the rock world, albeit in a slightly different presentation. But yeah, very cool. Larry Warren is in the house. Larry, it is great to see you. David Yates is here. Timothy Appling is here. All the team are on board. Steve Ford is here. We were chatting off camera just before this stream went live. Steve, if you've got any more questions, do just let me know. Response Audio is here. Good to have you on board. Helmet Strap with the Insight says, hi everyone, had a breakthrough this week. Noticed Nick plays guitar on his left knee. Tried it and my right shoulder dropped and left arm can reach the neck without my gut getting in the way. That is killer, right? I'm pleased for you, man. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I do the left knee thing, because I will sometimes play on my right leg, but for the most part I'm playing on my left leg. I actually have, I'll show you guys this down here too, have a footstool down here. So this is like super nerdy, but I have a footstool. I'd like to have one anywhere I'm going to be doing any serious filming, otherwise I have to prop my foot up on something. The reason I do this is for a few reasons. First of all, one is it's a little bit closer to the position the guitar is going to be in when I'm playing live. So I'm coming from a background of being a live player primarily, and I didn't do a lot of sitting down playing, if that makes sense. I played most of my stuff standing up. So, you know, it made sense to me to make the guitar feel as standy-uppy as possible, and that involves this position on the guitars on my body, and this position of the neck relative to my frame, but also this angle of the neck. So this feels a bit more like when I stand up with my guitar. Also, other things about it is it fits a little bit better in a typical video shoot. So if you're shooting videos, this tends to fit better than this does in terms of like camera angles. So if you have quite a tight camera angle, you can fit a lot of information in here. For example, if we go to this camera here, oh, it's decided not to play ball. Let me just restart that. I know what I need to do. You've gone away, or skip you, right? All this software doing all this stuff. And let's see if it's going to do the thing now. So there we go. If we go to this camera here, this fits in. Oh, there's two of me. Let's just let's see if I can make this work. I'm having some terrible technical issues today. Let's just get rid of that. I know what I've done. I know exactly what I've done. There we go. Much better. Okay, we'll get there in the end instead of having a ghost me on there. This fits really well. This, admittedly, you know, it's kind of a false way of looking at it, but that not so much. You have to kind of angle the camera to get this kind of like lovely fretboard view. So that's one of the reasons. Standing up, playing live. The other one, this is pure vanity, right? But Helmet Strap said he can play without his gut getting in the way. It's true, it does feel very comfortable, but it also does kind of disguises that whole like sit down kind of like belly rolls thing everybody's got. Let's be honest, we sit down, we've kind of got these belly rolls going on. For me, if I sit down like this, sometimes you just see a little bit too much something there, and you know, this just kind of disguises that. It hides a lot of ills, let's say. So we're breaking the fourth wall for you guys here, but we're all friends, right? You guys have been here for a long time, you know what's going on. So anyway, that's why. But I'm really glad he's seen results with this, man. I always sit on this leg, just a force of habit at this point. Sacred Godslayer is here, good to have you on board. Cowcat is here, Mark Crandall's here, Kim the Big Boss is here. We were chatting a couple hours ago, really excited about the big switchover. If you guys missed that, I'll tell you more about that a little bit later on. Mark McNish is in the house with a very interesting comment that I want to get to. Now, we'll be addressing this more as the evening goes on. But he says, in the Q&A section, but he says, "Hi Nick, hi all. I was really discouraged a couple of weeks ago about my progress. I shortened my commitment to 5 minutes. If I can plug it in at all, I'll start and put in more than that." Now, this is really interesting, right? This is the whole business of the, I guess, the minimum commitment that you can make to your guitar. But what I want to say before we get into this, we'll address this in the Q&A section a bit later on, because it's a very, very good point. But I want to say, first of all, congratulations and good on you for actually making the commitment to go, look, I've got 5 minutes, I'm going to play, even if I only have 5 minutes. That is going to do you so much more good than going, well, I only have 5 minutes, so I might as well not bother, which is something a lot of folks will do. They go, oh, I don't have 20 minutes, I don't have 10 minutes, I'll just not bother. Way better to pick up and play anything at all than it is to do nothing. Now, there is a big thing in the, it's primarily in the fitness space, but it's also in the guitar space, this chasing of optimal, this idea that your practice and or your lifestyle or fitness or training or whatever it is that you have to be doing, your diet, has to be optimal, otherwise you shouldn't bother. And that really grinds my gears, because I'm like, man, you know, a little something is always better than nothing. So good on you for finding the motivation, even though you're saying you're feeling a bit discouraged. Just finding a little bit of time to do anything is going to make a big difference. So man, I'm proud of you. Well done. Who else do we have in the house? Cranky Tom is here. Cranky Tom says, "Hi Nick, hi everyone. I hope you're all well. Got me a cool Harley Benton modeler. Very nice. Tons of features. My Duesenberger eye are looking forward to the stream." Oh, jealous, man. Those Duesenbergers are great guitars. Really, really attractive. We love that. Steve Ford with a lovely compliment. Thank you very much, man. Darren Wall is in the house. Again, we were chatting off camera a few days ago. Looking forward to tonight's stream. So am I. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on board, man. Reese Breen is in the house on Facebook. Reese, good to see you. It's been a long time. Says, class topic. Well, fingers crossed, man. My friend Craig is in the house. No doubt going to cause trouble, but that's fine. That's what he's here for. Sacred Godslayer is playing his white Strat. Our friend, I'm going to mess this name up. I'm just going to say Rolly Calon. Says, "Thank you for being creative every lesson with new information." I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. That's really kind of you. Good, man. Who else do we have? Marcin is playing his Custom 22. Helmet Strap's playing his SE Chris Robertson. Good choice. Mark Crandall's playing an ES339, the Mini 335. Great guitars. They were like the hotness for a while, but they're fantastic guitars. Very, very cool. Steve McDee's playing a Strat. Timothy Appling says, "I hear you. Weight is the main reason I choose my SG over the Electrics." For sure, for sure. Andy Keeley, my friend Andy's in the house, says, "Good luck with the new venture, pal." Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Bought my son a guitar for Christmas and he's already broke a string. Oh, man. I mean, it's going to happen. Your strings break. They're breakable. So that just means that he's playing. I appreciate that. Bummer, as my GI has expired and didn't renew it yet because I don't have much time lately to exploit my subscription. Well, don't worry about that, man. Don't you worry about that, because get yourself a Lick Library membership. I just love booting myself out of the stream. I had a little swipe on this Magic Mouse, the bane of my life. I moved my finger slightly to the left and it decided, oh, you want to be out this window, do you? Anyway, so yeah, don't worry about that. Get yourself a Lick Library membership. When the time is right for you, you'll get all the GI Plus stuff, and you'll get it for the same price as the Lick Library membership. It's very cool. Timothy Appling says, that's great, Nick. I'm a member of both Lick Library and GI Plus, and both of them are great. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate you. Lick Library have some fantastic content. I'll be doing more content for Lick Library over the course of this year, but also a bunch of new GI stuff too. Now, if you are a member of both, to point this out, you'll be getting a personalized email about this, telling you exactly what to do with your memberships. So if you're worried about like, oh, will I need to cancel this one? Will I need to cancel this one? Will it do its thing automatically? We'll be getting in touch about this. So don't worry about it. We'll be letting you know. But Sacred God Slayer says, but yeah, joining the two brands is great. Hey man, I appreciate that. I'm excited about it. I'm glad you guys are excited about it too. Darren Wall is using a Silver Sky. Great choice. Taylor 315 says, hey Nick, can you tell us what the new guitar is? It looks very cool. I think I already did. This is my my Maybach Convair. So Maybach Guitars have been doing a lot of stuff with these guys lately. They're really good people. They make fantastic guitars, just outrageously good guitars. Still playing PRS, so don't worry. Still got my PRS all over there, but this one is my number one right now, and I can see myself adding more Maybachs to my collection. Let's just put it that way. So really happy to be part of the Maybach family. I am an artist, so lucky to have a deal with both brands, but man, hey, this guitar is tremendous, just wonderful. Steve Ford says, that's good news. I am already a member of Lick Library. Well, fantastic. In that case, you can get your GI Plus stuff for free. Chris Davies says, evening all. Those intros, dude, kills me every time. Just inspirational. Oh, that is really kind of you, man. Thank you very much. That's very, very good of you. Nick Harrison is in the house playing an old Hamer Diablo. I didn't even know you had one of those. That's crazy. A question from Helmet Strap. Will Monday nights continue? Monday nights will continue. So these streams are going to be carrying on as normal. The only difference is we're going to be doing them on both channels. So you'll be able to watch this either on the Lick Library YouTube channel or on the GI YouTube channel. Wherever you decide to watch it, you'll be able to watch it on both. So this stream will be going out to both channels, certainly for the near future. So yes, the Monday night streams will be continuing. Neo Geo Fanatic, I remember the Neo Geo, says, hi, great to have you on board, man. Thanks for coming on board. I think a first time commenter, I'm pretty sure I'd remember that username. Anyway, listen, let's get into the meat of today's session, which is sequences and how you can use them to help your playing make more sense. Now, this has been a topic that we've been talking about for, this is our second week chatting about this. We talked about it last week. If you missed last week's stream on making sense in your playing, make sure you go check that out. You can see me being exceptionally jet lagged. I'm a bit back to normal now. I'm feeling a bit more like myself, but even still. I think it was a pretty cool stream. We went over some interesting stuff in terms of what makes a solo make sense, what makes an improvisation make sense. Also wound up hitting upon a little bit of a discovery with this, with regards to improvisation and what improvisation is. And I've actually kind of stopped referring to my practice where I'm exploring the guitar, if that makes sense, where I'm exploring the guitar, where I'm playing freely, where I'm improvising, for want of a better word. I've stopped calling it improvisation because I've started to reframe improvisation in my mind as improvising music, as the idea of trying to make music on the fly versus just playing stuff. Just playing stuff I haven't played before, or playing stuff that's not rehearsed. So I'm making a distinction in my own mind between improvising music, trying to produce music on the fly, trying to compose in real time, versus trying to just play stuff that I've never played before. Both is cool, right? Both cool. Nothing wrong with either. Oh, my friend Craig, need to address this, right? Cody goes over. I'm telling you that right now. If they don't, we riot. Anyway, I really hope so, man. I really hope so. Anyway, he's got to, surely. Anyway, we're not here to talk about wrestling. Although I could quite happily turn this into a wrestling stream, but we're not going to do that. Now, making sense, as far as your playing goes, is part of that business of when you improvise. We're trying to improvise music. We're trying to make music on the fly. Because music has to make sense. It doesn't have to. That's not necessarily true. But for the most part, music makes sense in the sense that it conveys a message to a listener. Or at the very least, it's something that a listener can latch onto and make sense of. So if we think about solos that we're able to sing, for example, I'm not going to play it, but if you mentally sing to yourself something like the Another Brick in the Wall solo, or the solo from maybe Bohemian Rhapsody or Hammer to Fall or something like that, or any of these, the solos from Sweet Child of Mine, things like that, right? These are things that we can latch ourselves onto. Now, this is not necessarily the preserve of just slow stuff. If you think about some of the quicker solos that maybe you like, maybe you can sing some of those too. If we take the example of some of Paul Gilbert's work, those are things that even though they're really fast, you can kind of sing them to yourself. They have a bit of a flow to them. And part of this is having a degree of predictability about your playing. Now, this is something that I went wrong with for a very long time. I spent a good amount of time in my youth trying to make my playing very much like Paul Gilbert's playing, in the sense that it was very sequence heavy. It was very kind of like easy to follow in terms of the notes I was playing, even though it was quite fast. So, and I was striving to play fast, but I was playing stuff that was mainly sequence related, which is what we're going to talk about today. And then I got a bit bored of it, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to pursue the opposite of that. I just want to make my playing completely unpredictable, and I want it to sound like you've no idea what I'm going to play next. And that is cool, but I definitely went off the deep end with it. And I definitely threw the baby out with the bathwater as far as the sequencing thing goes, because sequences give us a sense of where we're about to go with our playing. So an example of this might be if you took something like the melody from Parisian Walkways. So this is Gary Moore's very famous blues ballad. You guys all know Parisian Walkways, I would imagine. But it's this lovely theme that goes... Now, I don't need to play any more of that because you can all hear where it's about to go. You can hear what's about to happen in that it's going to start here and you know what's coming next, right? The reason this makes sense to us is because there is a flow to what he's playing, and this flow we might refer to as a sequence. Now, the Parisian Walkways sequence we might think of as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes down, and then start in the same place, go down 2. You could play like this. For copyright reasons. You could play the next version like this. A change at the end, and we're going to talk about that. Now, the reason I'm saying this sequence is 7 down and then 2 down is because that's kind of how we hear it. We don't necessarily hear the individual notes that are involved. We do, but we kind of register it more as a direction, more as a flow or a shape. And this is something that we can easily make sense of when it comes to listening, let's say. Here's another one. Nick Harrison saying, definitely some autumn leaves have fallen on that Parisian Walkway. For sure, 100%. Like, I always think it sounds like Fly Me to the Moon, which is another, like sequency piece same thing, right? There's a melodic flow to all of these pieces. And the reason it works is because it is sequence in the truest sense. Now, I'm going to show you a sequence. I'm going to show you a sequence that we can use very, very easily in our guitar playing. Now, this sequence is going to be a pentatonic scale sequence. We're going to call this 6 notes down. And I guarantee you know what that's going to sound like already. But if I was to black the screen, which I'm going to do right now, if I black the screen out and I play this sequence, if I told you that we're going to do this is a pentatonic scale very quickly, the one scale we're going to use, E minor pentatonic. We'll have 15, 12, 15, 12, 13, 12, 13, I'll say it again, 15, 12, 15, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 15, 12. if I black the screen and play this sequence, which is 6 notes down, once again, 6 notes down, I'm pretty confident that even without me showing it to you, without you even seeing it, you'd have some idea of how to play that. You'd have some idea of what your hand should do to play that sequence. Whereas if I play something like this, admittedly more complicated, but we'll stick with the pentatonic scale. If I play something like this, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. Both cool lines, right? Admittedly, the other one is a bit more sophisticated, but still, that first line, that 6 notes down, you'd at least have an idea of what to do with it with your hand. And the reason for this is because our ear can easily identify that and apply kind of a mental shape to it. Now let me show you the sequence. The sequence in question, and we're going to play this together, is going to be in our pentatonic scale, starting on the highest note of any given string, which begins with 15. We play descending 6 notes, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then starting on the highest note of a given string, this time the B string, we play 6 notes down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Starting on any given note, any given highest note, any given string, this time the G string, 6 notes down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same deal here, starting on the highest note of the D string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a very simple example of a sequence, but let's try it. Let's play it together along with our backing track. I'm going to play like this. Let's try it together. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, here we go. Now this might be quite dull as it stands, and it probably is, but here's the thing. To my mind at least, one of the things that separates a dull sounding sequence from a cool sounding sequence is rhythm. Rhythmic variation. Now if we take the idea of Parisian walkways once again, right, and I play it without any rhythmic variation, I'll play this. Dull. Dull as dishwater. Play this. Suddenly, coolest thing ever, right? Right, it's the rhythmic thing. So what we might do is we might apply some rhythm to our 6-note sequence. Now, sticking with this idea, right, the 6-note sequence, what if we applied our rhythm, maybe something like this? All I'm doing here is I'm just leaving that first note for the length of 2 notes. So if we had this ba 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 kind of pulse, we can go ba 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 again ba 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 ba, so on and so forth. Let's try that along with our track. So we get something like this, or we might get now that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. Let's try it together. Ready? 2, 3, 4. I'm really into that. Let's speed it up a little bit. Let's maybe go like this. Now, isn't that the coolest thing, right? Let's try it again. Here we go. Again, sorry, here we go. Once again. Different rhythm. But it's still fun. It's still cool. Now, what we might take away from this is that sequences on their own can be a little bit on the too predictable end of the spectrum. But as soon as we start to throw a little bit of variation in there, whether it's a little bit of rhythmic variation, whether it's a bit of variation in terms of the intervals that we're playing, which we'll get to in a second, or all these other variations that we can explore, we can suddenly have something very cool that we can make a line out of. We can make something musical and something coherent. So if I play with this idea again, and I start moving around with maybe some different positions in the pentatonic scale, my friend Craig is too kind to me. He says a bit of Andy Timmons phrasing. I wish I sit at the feet of Andy Timmons when it comes to this phrasing thing, man, but that's good of you. That's very kind. If it's even reminiscent of the legendary Andy Timmons, then I will take it. Anyway, is Andy Timmons the heir to Jeff Beck's title of tastiest guitar player? I think so. Anyway, but I would say that because I love Andy Timmons. Now, if I take the same idea and I start to move it around a bit, I've got a line with some flow to it, and it's something that I'm playing quite a lot of notes with. I'm covering quite a lot of fretboard real estate, but whew, man, just really, really, really cool. And it all comes from that simple, basic sequencing idea. Now, the conceptualization of this is the important bit, I think. So this is the reason why I describe that not by the individual notes that are in there, but by the term 6 notes down. So if we took another scale, maybe we took the natural minor scale in the key of E. I'm going to show you a position of this that we can play together. It's going to be a position with E at the top, and it's going to go something like this. We'll do this other 6 notes down sequence. So if we played, for example, Cowcat says, polyrhythms save simple sequences. Very nice. I like that a lot. I don't know if I'd necessarily call it polyrhythm, because I've only got one rhythm going on at a time in my own head, but I would say more interesting rhythms. But that doesn't roll off the tongue like polyrhythms does. So we all knew what you meant, and I think you're absolutely right. So the next sequence we're going to play, or rather the next shape we're going to play, is going to be the following. This is going to be a position of the E natural minor scale. And what you might think about it as, is you might think about it as, starting with your pinky finger on 12, you might think about it as a big shape, or a stretchy shape. You can call this 4-2-1 with a stretch, or you can just think about it as, that's fingers by the way, 4-2-1, or you can just think about it as 12-10-8. Doesn't really matter. Same deal here on the next string. Got that? 12-10-8, 12-10-8. Next string, 11-9-7. So far we got this. Now, next few strings, we're going to play 4-3-1. That's a fingering shape, 4-3-1. But the frets are 10, 9, 7. Same again here, 10, 9, 7. Then down at the bottom to get to the 5th, we have 4-2-1. Or 10, 8, 7. That shape once again. Connected. Let's apply our 6 notes down sequence to this scale. Now this is going to begin by giving us something Paul Gilbert worthy when it comes to, if we play it fast anyway. So what we might do here is we might take the 6 notes down, starting on the highest note of each string. So starting on this note, then this note, then this note, then this note, this note, this note, playing, well, maybe not that one, but playing 6 notes down each time, which will give us something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we might get this. join it up is going to give us something like this, where we go. And at a slightly faster speed. With a bit of legato for good sake, good measure. Determined to double up that last string for some reason, but that's a 6 notes down sequence starting on each string. But we don't just need to blaze with it. We can play some musical stuff with this too, because we talked about that idea of using rhythms as a way to bust up our sequences. So what if we were to play this same idea, but this time all we do is we just bust up the rhythm a little bit. So let's maybe take the same approach of making the first note a little bit longer. I love this Parisian mustache metal. There's Parisian walkways without the accent is basically Paris streets. Yeah, for sure, 100%, right? Without the rhythm, it's Google Maps Paris. Anyway, so same deal. 6 notes down in the natural minor scale this time, but this time what we're going to do is we're just going to play the same idea. First note is long. Now we take the same idea, but this time just make it a little bit more rhythmically interesting. Now that is a phrase that is going to be a very, very predictable and easy to follow way, but still interesting, of getting from here to here. So if I include that in some soloing, we got something fun there, and I actually stumbled on another sequence that we might use here, which is 6 notes down and 2 back up. I'll play that again. 6 notes down and 2 back up, making this one the start of our new sequence, which could be this. Now you'll hear loads of great players use this all the time, especially with a bit of bend on the top end. Magic stuff, right? Really good fun and really interesting. Now what we've got going on there is this idea of sequencing based on, primarily, the number of notes on a string. But we don't have to do that. We can also sequence starting on each individual note of the scale. So here we've done it based per string, starting on the highest note of each string, but we can do it where we start here, and start here. Takes a bit more work. Start here, start here, start here. What we might get is this. Oh, play it again. Once again. Now that in itself, again, a really beautiful and interesting sequence. Let me play it for you. All it is, 6 notes down, but with a pause on the first note. Now, what I'm also going to say with this is it is cool to play every note, to start on every note, but it's also okay to miss some out. You don't have to play everyone. There's no rule that says you must start on every note. John Sykes was really great for this. He played these sequences and then would just miss one randomly for no reason. Took a bit of inspiration for that on one of the licks for the forthcoming Blitzkrieg album, which is literally just this classic Ingve 4s thing, but I decided I would double one of them up. And then I got in this habit of doubling up and tripling up and quadrupling up. And the interest comes from the fact that it is a predictable sequence, but I'm being unpredictable with which notes we're using within the sequence. Now, going back to this minor scale thing that we just played, we can play our 6-note sequence and just miss some of them out. I'm not really feeling that first finger one sometimes. It's a bit awkward to get to, so I'm just going to miss it. And I might get this. Beautiful. Really nice. Really nice. Now, I'll play it again. Admittedly, the eagle-eared among you will know that some of those were 5 and some of those were 6, but it's not important. The important thing here is that this is something that we can follow with our ear and we can make sense of. We can hear a flow to this in a way that maybe we couldn't with some more random type phrasing, if that makes sense. Craig's asking if that lick was on an Yngwie-ish track. It kind of wasn't, funnily enough. It was more of a, don't know, like kind of a sort of this kind of tempo. Kind of traditional metal thing, but the solo is really good fun. Loads of fun, loads and loads of fun on that. Now, so let's keep going with this. Let's keep going in a different direction. So everything we've done so far has been in one scale position. But this is one of my favorite tricks, and I'm going to reveal this to you now. It's not a magic trick. I don't own this. It's not something I invented. It's not something I do kind of uniquely, or any of this. Loads of players do this, right? But I just happen to really like doing it. If you've ever heard me do any of this, like, faintly melodic stuff, where I might play things like... bit scrappy at the end there, but you get the idea. All that sort of stuff that we love. What's going on? Or I like it anyway. What's going on there is I'm taking a particular scalar approach, a particular logical approach to scale playing, and just playing it in different positions of the scale that I happen to be playing in. So in this instance, we're playing E natural minor. Now, this is going to require you to know your positions of the natural minor scale, right? But this is a reason for you to learn those, because a lot of times we sort of get told, well, you should learn all the positions of the E natural minor scale. And you go, why? Why should I learn them? I can play all the notes in one place. That's all I need. You go, well, this sort of thing becomes available to you when you know all of these positions, even just on a pair of strings. So if you're interested, what I'm going to do is I'll give you a very quick crash course in where this is. So the ones we're going to focus our attention on today are going to be on the highest strings, highest 2 strings. We'll play 12, 10, 8, 12, 10, 8. Next one down is 10, 8, 7, 10, 8, 7. Look where my fingers go. Then it's 8, 7, 5, 8, 7, 5. Then we can play 7, 5, 3, 7, 5, 3. So it's the same finger on each. It's stretchy shape, 1, 2, 4 shape, 1, 3, 4 shape, stretchy shape. Now what we can do here is we can take a sequence that works for us. It can be any of these combinations of notes on these highest few strings. I might use a sequence that goes like this. That's a nice sounding sequence. Now what I'm playing there is I'm playing on the B string, the lowest and the middle note out of our 3. So low, middle. Then on the high string, I'm playing high, low, missing off the middle note. Low, middle, high, low. And I'm playing that same logic. I'm going to apply it to each of these positions. It doesn't have to be this sequence, it could be anything. But thinking in these terms of just the shape, and this idea of low, middle, high, low. Lowest and middle note out of my three, highest and lowest note out of our three. I will be a little more sensitive as to which notes I land on, but fundamentally it's that same sort of idea. So what I might do is I might throw my track on, and I might get something like this. A little slower, it sounds cool as well. Lots of fun. Now we can manipulate that if, say, we didn't like the sound of this one, which I kind of don't. We might change that. We might make it low, high, middle, low. Which give us this. It still has the same flow to it, but we're just being a bit more choosy about our note choices. That's a little bit further on, but we can start to use the same idea. We can apply it in any groups of positions that we can hear or that we can play. So I might play this all up and down these two strings. And of course there's time for stuff like that last lick that's not very sequency, that doesn't really have much of a pattern to it. But that in a nutshell is how you might take some of these sequences and start to apply them horizontally. And of course you can continue doing this by moving in this direction. By moving in this direction, it requires you to know the shapes of the scale that you're playing, or at least to be able to locate the notes of the scale that you happen to be playing in, or the notes that are appropriate to the chord that you're playing over. If you're doing this in a maybe a setting that requires you to play over chord changes, but ultimately, this is the nutshell. If we wanted to distill this a little further, it's about finding something that has a certain musical flow to it, and just playing stuff that follows that rough musical shape. So if we take that idea of this ba 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 ba, that's something we can all hear. Doesn't actually matter what the notes are. We can hear it has that sort of shape. You can just play that with any combination of notes you happen to think of. So you might get something maybe a bit more all-encompassing that might go something like this. Let's go again. Oop, that was the wrong note. Now that's a line, even though it's a bit, all over the place and the tonalities are really interesting, it makes sense. It's a line that we can hear. We can go like this. And a nice, slightly more simple one at the end. Pentatonics, 6 notes going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe it's 5 sometimes. Ultimately, it's about that. We can hear that shape way more clearly. We can make way better sense of it than we can the individual notes. The notes are important for sure, but this line of thinking is hopefully going to help you make a bit more sense of these these ideas that we've been talking about, or all these kind of like scale and tonality options and all these things that you have available to you. even just having a rudimentary approach to sequencing this stuff makes it interesting and makes it easier to follow. One last trick with this is if you're getting into the 3-note per string shred thing, sequences are your best friend, because it enables you to make sense of your playing, not just in the way that a listener might make sense of it, but in a way that you can actually keep tabs on with your own head. So if you can start to think about your playing in sequences, maybe we take 2 classic shred sequences that might be something like maybe this. Let's go to, you know what, let's actually go to both cams for this. Maybe something like this. And maybe something like this. That would be the Paul Gilbert lick, and then 6 notes up. Well, that's something that I can keep tabs on. It makes perfect sense to me, and I can look at a bit of a rhythmic flow to it. I feel like it's perhaps a little easier for me to play than something totally random, but it sounds cool as well. So if we go... reasons we like Paul Gilbert's playing so much, because it makes sense. There's a sequence to it. There's a flow to it. So there you go, guys. That's been a little bit of a look at how you can use sequences to make your playing make a little more sense. Either at speed, be it slow. I think it's something definitely worth your time to play with, but it's time for us to do the question and answer session. So if you have questions, drop them down below. We'd love to hear from you. I also want to take this opportunity to remind you, if anybody's just tuned in, we have some exciting news. I'll be explaining more about this as the weeks go on. But as of the first week of March, GI Plus, that is our lesson platform from Guitar Interactive Magazine, is merging with our friends at licklibrary.com. So licklibrary.com will be the new home for GI Plus. All of the lessons that are currently on GI Plus will be there, along with a bunch of courses that haven't been released yet. We've got a bunch in the can. They're coming out very soon. We're going to be making more GI courses, but what this also means is that instead of you guys paying for 2 memberships and paying for your Lick Library membership and your GI Plus membership, you will just have to pay for 1 membership. There'll be no price increase to go along with this. We're just going to include it. So if you're a Lick Library member, you just get the GI Plus stuff, right? If you're a GI Plus member and not a Lick Library member, you will get a Lick Library membership in addition to your GI Plus membership automatically at a limited time price. That is going to be the same price as your GI Plus membership. Now, that won't last forever, but it's our way of thanking you, our way of saying thanks for coming us on this journey. Here is not just GI Plus, but you can have the Lick Library stuff too. And there's so many lessons on there, it's outrageous. In addition to that, you also get one-to-one support. If you have any trouble navigating, say, for example, the massive library of lessons, you want to know what you should look at next, there's someone there to answer your questions, right? And it's a guitar player. It's not a bot. It's not somebody in a call center somewhere in wherever call centers are. It's an actual guitar player who has been over this sort of stuff. And as if that wasn't enough, you also have access to one-to-one video lessons. So if you're struggling with anything, you can just jump on a call and we'll talk you through the stuff. Very exciting, but the GI Plus stuff is still going to be there, and these streams are still going to be going. This is not the end. We are still bringing you these streams. They're going to be on the Lick Library channel and the Guitar Interactive channel. So wherever you want to watch these, they're going to be there. And they're still going to be Monday nights, same time, same duration, all that stuff. So if you have any questions about the merger, please direct them here. This is player support at licklibrary.com. We will answer all of your questions. But any guitar playing questions, let's get on to that right now. Mark Crandall saying, Sam Bell usually does a Lick Library thing on Thursdays. Will that continue? That will indeed continue. So the streams from Sam Bell, the streams from Danny Gill, the streams from Rich Shaw, all of the Lick Library guys, they are going to continue doing their streams on whatever nights they happen to be doing them. They're going to be more irregular, so they'll be, every couple of weeks. But I'll still be doing the Mondays. So every Monday, I'll be going on. So anyway, these streams are going to keep going. So into that. Felipe Martelli, my mistake, says, it's good to have you back, by the way. It says, hi, just a big thank you for all your work. I appreciate that, man. That's very, very kind of you. So here is another one. Another question from our friend. Oh, a good comment, actually, from Response Audio. I want to highlight this one. Steve Morse often has a strong, fairly slow melody, but he uses sequence to approach the melody notes. Now, that is a really good shout. If you haven't listened to much of Steve Morse's playing, Steve Morse is one of my favorite guitar players, just a titan of the instrument and doesn't get the recognition he deserves, even though he's super respected and super famous. Neither respected nor famous enough, in my opinion. Love a bit of Steve Morse. Here's an interesting one. PJ says, I notice your pick angle changes between up and down escape elements with some flat elements, Nick. For sure. Sometimes. Depends what I'm doing. So sometimes with this, if I go to the right hand, we do some of that Paul Gilbert stuff. There'll be sometimes this upstroke escape thing. Sometimes this downstroke escape thing. Sometimes the flat. So I'm doing economy picking. Doing any of that stuff, I'll sometimes stay flat with it. Sometimes I'm flat just because I don't really need to escape. But what I will also say with this is occasionally a downstroke escape can look flat, even though it's not. So you will sometimes see some flat for sure. But yeah, I'm just changing depending upon the line that I'm trying to play. And this has just come from exploration and getting used to it, and every once in a while there's a conscious choice where I go, I need to do this for this kind of line. So for example, I know for the Paul Gilbert technical difficulties sort of thing. Where does it start? Is it up here? Wherever the harmony is, I know that has to be an upstroke escape. A downstroke escape, rather. Downstroke escape. So upward pick slanting, downstroke escape. That I know. So sometimes it's a conscious one there. Blazing fast approach sequences. Steve Morse, for sure. 100%. PJ says, I'm just going to ask if it was conscious. It's occasionally conscious, but I try not to live in my technique mentally when I'm playing. When I'm practicing, I'm in there, but when I'm playing, I try to lean on the unconscious stuff. I'll only really delve into it consciously if I need to correct something, if I need to course correct. You go, ooh, it's that, do that thing. But even then, it's usually not as detailed as you must play with a downstroke escape. That's for practice, and that's actually what's happening. But normally what I'm doing is, say for example, the legato's not feeling its best, I'll focus on things like which part of the finger did I feel that in? You know, what does my arm feel like when I'm playing? Things like that, if that makes sense. Timothy Appling says, do you ever play or jam with the other Lick Library guitarists? Well, you know what it is? We actually have a series of jams recorded. Really good fun with a bunch of the guys, and we don't really want to put them out because we don't have tab for them yet, but there's and we want to give you guys tab for them because we'd like you to learn them. But we have jams. I have some jams recorded with Tom Quayle. I have some with Sam Bell, some with Phil Short, who's done a bunch of stuff with us. Who else is on them? I can't quite remember. I think Danny Gill's done some passes. So yeah, there'll be some jamming happening, man. Like, rest assured. There was supposed to be some jams with last time I was down filming with John Connon. That, for a variety of reasons, didn't happen, mainly due to traffic on the M25. So like I needed to leave. He was late getting in because stuck in traffic. So that is going to happen. Destiny got in the way there, but that's going to happen. So yes, do jam with the other Lick Library guitarists. They're all fabulous players. One and all. And also, in case you're wondering, by the way, we're not excluding Eliza from this, who's doing all of our social media videos that you guys will have seen. I'm going to be producing Eliza's band again. We're all a big happy family here, right? And I jam with Kim all of the time. right? Every time I'm down, me and Kim like to get guitars out and play. We just like playing guitar. It's one of those things. So anyway, Crankatom says, I have a question that goes back a bit. In Shred Primer 5, around 1 minute, you demonstrated pick management. The lick underneath it was killer. I'd love to know the concept behind it. I'm going to need to go and dig that out because I'm not sure what that was, but I'm going to go and figure it out because if it's a cool lick, I would love to bring it to you guys. So thanks for bringing that to my attention. I'm going to go and watch that and dig it out. Here is another one from Philippe Martelli. He says, when you practice a sequence, do you approach it with different ways? As in only downstroke, only upstroke, palm mute, legato? I will, but not in those ways necessarily. I'll approach it from the perspective of what happens if I pick all of the notes. What happens if I play mostly legato? What happens with the dynamics? So if I play certain notes louder, certain notes softer. When I'm playing sequences, unless it's a shred sequence, unless it's something ostensibly I'm going to play this fast, like the Gilbert ones we just talked about, or the Malmsteen sixes or things like that, which, in case anybody's wondering, the Malmsteen sixes are this old chestnut. That sort of business. Unless it's something that I'm doing just to play quickly, I tend to think about it from more of a musical experimentation perspective rather than a technical experimentation perspective. But of course, without technique, there is no music, because we need technique to actually play the damn thing. If we don't know how to fret a note, no music comes from the guitar, right? I'm not saying you have to be a genius to make music on the guitar, far from it, but everyone who's ever made music on the guitar, there is a technical component to it. There has to be, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to. It would just be like looking at the guitar and going, come on, guitar, make music. It's not going to happen. So, of course, there is a technical component to that, for sure. But I tend to conceptualize it more as a musical one. Marcin says, one day I will jam with you as well. Count on it, right? If I'm ever in Poland, you know what to do. Here's one from my friend Craig saying, not a question, but something I've found if you're going from B to G string, 2 notes per string, starting an upstroke, and angling the pick like you would descending sweeping, it falls easier. Now, that's interesting, because what you might be hinting at there is maybe like an economy thing, I guess. He says, obviously it only works in 2 adjacent strings. It came from the Don't Stop Believing Widdly bit, playing it live, for sure. A deceptively difficult line, right? Because there's a couple of ways you can play that. You could do this. You could do the... I'm going to play it here so we can actually see it. Which I think is what Sean's doing. But it's more comfortable for me to go... or maybe even some combination of the two. With a pull off on the last note. I guess the point with this is, you're absolutely right, but the point with this is, it's actually not super important which technique you use for this, just that you have one. So that's the whole central conceit of the picking strategies course for me, is I don't think it makes a difference personally, or at least it does make a difference. The difference is not important enough to worry about. I don't think it matters if you have one particular technique for picking a sequence. As long as you have something that works, you're golden, right? You're good. Whereas, you don't need to stress about, well, I can do it economy, I can do it downstroke escape, upstroke escape. Doesn't really matter. As long as you've got some way of playing stuff that is clack, clack, clack with a pick, if you want that sound, and you have some way of playing stuff with hammer-ons and pull-offs. You're laughing. We need one version of each. If you have a blended technique, that's fine too. That's cool. As long as it's some way, some combined strategy of playing those things, we're good. Assuming that's a thing that you want to play. It's a great line. I don't see why you wouldn't want to. So yeah, Craig's absolutely right. Yeah, the second two, he definitely uses pull-offs, but I go hell for leather on picking. It feels easier on the right hand for me, for sure. Some people do find the picking thing easier. Some people find the left hand hammer-ons and pull-offs thing either uncoordinated or a bit fatiguing. Myself, I spent so long doing that and having precisely no right hand technique. That's why I got quite good at hybrid picking, because just couldn't make the pick do the thing. It didn't want to play. Like genuinely, it was in my 30s before I figured picking out. I'd already been like working as a guitar player for about 10 years by that point. And, you know, playing some fast and, I don't know what you call it, some technically demanding stuff. Picking just didn't exist. Couldn't do it. And I was just like, yep, legato only for me. I'll just be Satch. And that's fine. Some people are the opposite way. I have friends who can't make head and tail of the legato thing, but have tremendous picking technique. They live full and happy guitar playing lives. Anyway, guys, I want to quickly hit this one up. This is another one from my friend Philippe. Philippe. Oh, it's from Philippe. I'm going to say. It says, I don't know if it's Brazilian or it's French. Hard to say. Martelli. It sounds Italian. I don't know. Anyway, so if I've got your name wrong, I do apologize. Metronome or backing track or drum loop to practice shred sequences. All of the above. How do you use the rest between sequences? Do you use a timer? I generally won't use a timer for rest, but I will use a timer to track the whole practice session. So I like 15 to 20 minutes. Oh, French, Corsican. There you go, fantastic. Yes, yeah, I'll generally use a timer to track the length of the whole session, but I won't stress super deeply about rest times between individual sequences. If I'm starting to get tired, I'll just stop until I'm not tired, which normally takes 10 seconds or something, whatever. The amount of fatigue we build up in the hands goes away very quickly because we're dealing with very small muscles. They don't accumulate a lot of lactate, and they're endurance muscles. They're designed to do this all day, every day, as opposed to something like, I don't know, can't think of another good example. The muscles in the chest, your pressing muscles, your pecs, they fatigue quite quickly and take quite a lot of time to sort themselves out when they get fatigued. These, not so much. They go back to normal pretty quickly. So anyway, but yes, all of the above. Metronomes, I'll use metronomes because they're incrementally scalable, which I like. I prefer drum loops because I can play whatever I want. I don't have to stick to a key or any of that sort of stuff. But I like backing tracks too. Speaking of backing tracks, we're going to play out in a backing track. Guys, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun. I will see you guys in the same place this time on Monday next week. These streams will be continuing as normal, so nothing changes. We're still going to be hanging out on Mondays talking about the guitar. For the time being, if you've enjoyed what we've done here, don't forget to hit all of the buttons. You know where they are: the subscribe, the bell, the like button. Share this with your guitar playing friends, and don't forget, make sure you check out licklibrary.com, where we're going to be placing all of the GI Plus lessons very, very soon. More on that to come in following weeks. My name is Nick Jennison with Guitar Interactive Magazine. I will see you guys next week. Let's play on the same track with some sequences.